So in this video I'm going to teach you how to do damp proofing. I'm going to be installing the cavity wall membrane and an injection cream. So we'll get on with that, and after the intro I'll show you how to do it. So as you can see at this side we've got this internal wall, and you can see that on camera it's visibly damp. I don't really need to put my meter on it to show you that. I've already done tests, the readings are high, but it's visibly damp. So what we're going to do is we're going to hack it off a metre high, just over a metre high, so we can feather it on plaster. We're going to take skirtings off, and we're going to put a cavity wall membrane on with plugs and seals. Then we're going to dot and dab and skim. If we can't dot and dab and skim, we're going to rough and skim it and feather it into existing plaster. There's an electrical socket on this wall for lights, so we'll deal with that if it becomes a problem. But the skirtings will need to be renewed. The reason that this is rising up is it's an internal wall. It looks as though they used to have an old cellar down here, and the water can be penetrating from the cavity wall next door, which I believe is the fault of the problem. So on this wall, this is your external wall. It's got a cavity, and what's happening? This has got visible damp on this wall that's rising up, and the DPC damp-proof membrane has failed, or it's non-existent. I have actually seen outside, so I'll be able to show you that in a sec. So what we're going to do is hack off a metre high, just over a metre high. There's an electrical socket here. If it becomes a problem, then I'll show you how to deal with that. We'll be taking skirtings off and replacing them, and more than likely a metre roughly will be coming in line with the window edge. Even if it doesn't, there's no point hacking off to this point, so I'll just be taking it up to the windowsill, going round corner here and taking that bead off along with skirting. So we've got rising damp on this wall. It's a very low reading at this point, but on this return, this side return, we have got an high reading, and we have got a slightly higher reading on this side. So what we're going to do is hack off a metre high all the way along this wall, from one end round corner onto the door. We're going to be working around window edge. I'm going to be boarding and skimming it, dot and dab, or putting a cavity wall membrane on. Sorry, dot and dab, and then skim, or rough and skim if it's thin, too thin, and that's what's required. With this wall having beads on. It's got beads on here and beads on this side, the same on the other side. So what I'm going to have to do is, when I skim it, I'm going to have to put a bead from top to bottom and feather it in, but virtually re-skim the entire wall to get this something like. Skirtings will need taking off and replacing with new, so I'll be doing that as well. The reason that this is rising through, it comes from the wall behind me, what has got a false wall put up, and that's the way they dealt with the damp proof. But at this moment in time, the customer don't want me to touch this wall, so I won't do. But the reason it's coming in is from next door, the wall outside, and the ground level being a little bit too high than where it needs to be. The wall outside, the floor outside needs to be 150mm below the damp proof course, but this house has got a damp proof course, but it's in the wrong position. So what I'm going to do now is show you outside and show you what I mean about the damp proof course. So I'm outside the property. What I'm going to show you is the damp proof course and where it should be. So this line going across here should be your cavity wall. It should be your damp proof course going all the way along this line, from one end of the building to other, sort of all the way around. There's an existing damp proof course, can just make it out here, but that's too low. It's at the wrong position. The concrete inside or the wooden floor inside is at this level, which is the correct level for where your damp proof course should be. It looks as though it's been injected along these holes here. You can see these on camera, but that's been done at the wrong level. It needs to be up here. So I'll take you around the other side and show you what I mean. So the damp proof course sort of runs along this line where it is at the moment on this part, but it sort of steps up here and around this point and runs along this line. But if we follow that brickwork, it works out about here on this brickwork. So that is completely in the wrong place. I tell you what, it's absolutely freezing out here today. It's December, 18 days till Christmas. So anyway, what I'm going to show you is 150mm below the damp proof level, which should run at this point here. There's a damp proof course that's in here, but it's too low. The damp proof course should run along this line, in line with the door frame, all the way along this line and all the way around the building. So with this concrete section being a bit high, this does need addressing. So 150mm, which is 6 inch, is there where my thumb is, and it's just that little bit too high. So what we need to do is resolve this situation. But internally, what we're going to do is put a cavity wall membrane on, injection cream on the cavity inside and outside, all the way around the perimeter, and that'll sort the problem. But this outside does need taking out and re-leveling so it's at the right depth. So what I'm going to do now is the most important thing is to tell you that sheeting up and protecting everything as much as possible before you start hacking off and removing the plaster. So once it's all sheeted up, as you can see, it's all neat and tidy. So we're going to measure out 1 metre high front floor up to that point. But we don't want to be exactly 1 metre high. We want to be just a little bit over that. So if I raise it by 50mm, that'll cover for any uneven floor, and obviously the cavity wall membrane needs to sit behind the plaster. So what we're going to do is the best way of doing this is to mark it out with a pencil, put a level on, and just make sure that that's level. And that's the line that we're going to work to. And I'll mark it out all the way along the wall. And just make sure that that line's where we need to be. But on this part, we're just going to take all that part off, even though it's a little bit higher than 1 metre. It's just easier to board that section straight up to windowsill, straight round here, or rough it and skim it if that's what's required. So what I'm going to do is mark it out on every wall where we need to be. Same again on this wall, and we'll just get a level line to where we need to be. Behind this section, I'm going to be taking plaster off as well, so I'm going to mark that out. So once you've protected the floor and you put your lines on, we're now going to set the remote skirting. Just double check that any obstacles next to a kitchen, that your skirtings don't run behind it. This sort of runs up to the kitchen unit and stops, and then there's another cut afterwards. The best way is to get a crowbar and an hammer, whichever type of hammer you want. This is just a brick hammer. This is a decent claw hammer, it'll get anything off the wall. So we're going to put that in, and we're going to remove skirting. And this isn't even nailed, I think it's just stuck on. So we'll turn it that way around, so if it, well actually it does have some nails. We'll turn it opposite way around so the nails are facing upwards because we don't want it to go through the floor and damage floor. And then we'll take it straight outside before anyone stands on it. Once we've took them all off, that is. So now we're going to start hacking off and removing old plaster. I could use this drill, the wall drill that's got a chisel, all different chisel settings. It's got all different settings to it, but I like to use this drill just for drilling holes only, because if I keep using it for chiseling off plaster all the time, eventually it's not going to last that long. So what I have got is this. I'll always like to use this for hacking off. It's got a chisel end bit. It's got a chisel, plenty of power to it. It's a lot cheaper to use this than what it is the DeWalt, because this is it's not any better than that, but I just like to use this just for chiseling off only because dust gets inside it and I don't want to ruin my DeWalt drill. So what I'm going to do, we've marked out as lines, we've took the skirtings off, so I'm going to make a start and chisel off. So all you do, start on line, with chisel end and work your way down. Put gloves and mask on and everything else that you need to wear. It's entirely your choice whether you do or don't. Don't know if you can see this on camera, but what we've got is whoever had this house before my customer bought this house, all they've done is just dot and dab straight over old plaster. So as you can see, old plaster's there. That needs to come off as well because we need to get a good fix direct on the brick, and obviously we don't want the cavity wall membrane to fail due to plaster being underneath it. So it's best just to whack it off straight to brick. That lets the air circulate round, and it's the best way forward. So when you getting any plastering done, just be aware don't let your plasterers skim or dot and dab straight over the top of a damp surface, because eventually it'll just come straight back through and you'll have to do the same again and you're just wasting your own money. Another thing as well, just be careful with electrical sockets, wires, because they can run up and down, so when we get to that point I'll be slowing down and working around it so I don't damage any cables or any wires that are behind here. When we do the cavity wall membrane, we need to go behind any wires, behind any sockets, and make sure it's all damp proof properly. As you can see, it's just sort of falling off quite easy, so that's another indication that damp's got to it. So, you know, just make sure you get it all off.